For the 7th consecutive year, Department of Finance, University of Kelaniya proudly presents the Investment Week 2019. On the first day of the week, workshop on financial market will be conducted for the university undergraduates by Securities and Exchange Commission. An economic forum on the theme Turning Around Sri Lanka will be conducted on the second day with the participation of key industry personnel. A seminar for the advanced level commerce students will also be conducted under the guidance of university lecturers. The 4-day program will conclude with the grand finale of the Lord of the Debate 2019, the Interdepartment Debate Competition and Inter-University Finance Quiz Competition in a good manner.
The Investment Week is one of the major events in the Department of Finance events calendar. The objective of the Investment Week is twofold. One is to enhance the interactions among students while developing their soft skills and enhancing the bondage between the corporate sector and the Department of Finance. So in doing so, the Department of Finance has organized a seminar on financial market, and the final event is on the final rounds of the quiz competition and the debate competitions. I wish all the very best for the contesting teams. Thank you.
Therefore, we invite all of you to witness this prestigious occasion from 25th to 28th November at the Faculty Auditorium.
Demanding a big government, everybody wants the government to do everything, and as a result, the fiscal policy had to take this burden. The governments in the post-independence period, all throughout the period except in 1954 and 55, they had the fiscal, what is known as this fiscal exuberance, in which the government thought that it can finance its way out into a prosperity in Sri Lanka. But this particular problem has been complicated because the income base of the government has been low. There has been a high budget deficit. The high budget deficit has been financed out of borrowing from commercial banks and the central bank, so they were all inflationary financing, and also it has led to high domestic debt. So all these syndromes are there. Then the fourth syndrome is the low research and development, low technology base. The failure to keep pace with peer countries like, say, Singapore is one of the most often quoted peer country for us. But today, there are countries like Thailand and Vietnam which are actually outpacing Sri Lanka. So we have failed to keep pace with them, and therefore there's an economic slowdown. Now this is where we stand today as a nation, because the country's economy is moving downward and we have to make a turnaround. So as a result, I think the investment forum, economic forum of University of Kelaniya has chosen a very apt topic, because it's a serious problem we are facing. The turning around the we have a new president in power today who has been elected to power about 1 week ago. He hasn't got any time to introduce his own economic policies, but if you go through his election manifesto, what he has suggested is completely different from the economic policy package that had been pursued in the past. So as a result, I can call it a new term, I can call it Gotanomics, because it's the Gota's economics. So Gota's economics has 7 basic targets which are very moderate in terms of what we are going through today. One is to increase the economic growth rate from 6.5% to 6.5% from the present below 3% during 2020-2005 throughout the period. So as a result, the manifesto expects to increase the per capita income, which stands around $4,000 today, to $6,500 by 2025, which is again a moderate target. Because if you want to be a developed country, our per capita income should be more than $12,000. So we are in the midway. With the next 5-year period, we will reach the midway point in our growth strategy. Then unemployment is to be reduced below 4% and kept at that level. Budget deficit, which is again 6% plus 2019, will be kept below 5% during the whole of this 2025 period. And most important suggestion that Gotanomics has suggested that it wants to bring the interest rate down and have a single interest rate with a single digit interest. So we have to look at it more extensively whether this is the kind of policy proposition that we can adopt. Then it also suggests that we have to strengthen the exchange rate. Now, right now, we have already seen Sri Lanka rupee had a one-way journey towards depreciation. Now, we are around 180 rupees per US dollar. So, strengthening means we have to bring down the exchange rate below this 180 rupee benchmark. Then the main strategy is completely different from the strategies adopted by the previous governments, including the Mahinda Chintan government. So direction of the economy is expected to be through a central government planning and expansion of the state sector. What it means is that the national economy and all possible products which Sri Lanka can produce, it expects to produce them within the Sri Lankan economy and cut down the imports drastically, which actually is an economic policy which had been in vogue in the 17th and 18th century, which is known as mercantilism, in which the countries had tried to export but not to import. So as a result, the type of economic policy in Gotanomics is to going back to the mercantilism which the Europe countries had abandoned about 100 years ago. Then application of technological development to modernize production and export, specifically agriculture and also to the industrial sector and also service. Now these are the 3 main strategies that you find in Gotanomics, and let us look at them in very detail and then make a critical assessment of the feasibility of these main strategy. The state sector will be elevated to the prime sector in the country. The economy is to be directed by a new machinery which is known as the National Policy and Planning Commission, which should function under the president himself. Now this is similar to the growth strategy adopted by South Korea in 1960s. There was a planning body which functioned under President Park directly, and as a result, the government could direct investments in the private sector, investments in the government sector, and the government sector could function as a facility. But the difference between that policy strategy and the policy strategy in Gotanomics is that the whole economy will be led by the state sector. So So there will be a state expansion, and it has announced very boldly that no state enterprise would be privatized, and it has even gone to the extent of announcing that they would introduce laws banning privatization, and as a result, all the underperforming and ill-performing state enterprises today like Sri Lankan Airlines, EB, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and so forth will be reformed under state ownership. For that purpose, there will be a national enterprise authority that will be established, and that authority will be in charge of reforming the state enterprises. But this is not a new thing, because even in Mahinda Chintana, we found a similar body called Strategic Enterprise Management Agency, or SEMA, which again functioned under the president, but nothing happened during his period, the whole 10-year period, with regard to the reforming or reorganization of the ill-performing or underperforming state enterprise. So we'll have to be very careful that we must, new National Enterprise Authority will have to deliver what it has promised to deliver. Then the important suggestion in Gotonomics is that he will actually uphold two main requirements which Sri Lanka has to have today, which is called meritocracy, which is a merit-based administration system, management system, and technocracy, where he will be hiring technocrats in order to deliver the product. And in order to attract them into the state sector, state enterprises, the salaries payable to those meritocrats and also technocrats will be determined based on the market salary level, which is again one of the good things. But again, we'll have to remember now, this is the strategy that was adopted by Singapore in its initial state of economic development. Since Singapore did not have a critical pool of such meritocrats and also technocrats, it had to attract such talents from abroad by paying international salaries. In the case of Sri Lanka, if the country does not have the necessary talent pool readily available here, at least in the initial period, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will have to invite the Sri Lankans who are working out to come back and work in Sri Lanka by promising them that they would be paid market-based salaries. Then the continuous training of second and third level successors in administration to upgrade the competence, because what actually we find in many government institutions and also in private, in state sector enterprises, the succession line has been completely forgotten by the top management today. So as a result, when the top management leaves, the new there is no any new people who are good enough to take over from them. Therefore, the present Gotonomics is planning to build up a succession line in the second and the third level by giving them continuous training and facilities for talent improvement. An important thing is that information and communication technology will be used extensively, not only to provide a better public service, but also to provide, to eliminate corruption, and also by then offering contracts to private enterprises. Because what we find today is when human beings are in charge of these decision-making processes, it always opens room for corruption. That when it is done by a machine, the machine has no favorite, and the algorithm that has been fed into the machine will choose the best person to get the contract. So therefore, corruption is to be kept at the minimum level by using modern information and communication technology, and his target has been to introduce technologies like blockchain into government service. Then there are sweeping changes in the tax policy in Gotonomics. Existing Income Tax Act, Inland Revenue Act, which was enacted about 2 years ago, will be replaced by a new act. And also, there are various types of tax relief that have been suggested for businesses. The corporation income tax, which is at 28% today, will be reduced to 18%. The objective has been to allow the corporate bodies to have a higher retained income and use that retained income for reinvestment, and when the reinvestment takes place, there will be a high economic growth, and therefore the government can get a higher tax revenue out of the corporate bodies, even though the tax rate is at a lower rate like 18%. Then there is a multitude of taxes in Sri Lanka. Of course, for almost every possible tax base which the Ministry of Finance would identify, there is a tax. It is just like the Hindu system of deities. In the Hindu system of deities, we have 333 million gods. But for every possible new human problem, there is a new god created. For example, if it is raining, they create a new god of rain. So similar to that, in Sri Lanka also the inland tax system has been so corrupted that there have been large number of taxes which are overlapping each other, which do not actually do any service to the to generate tax yield, and also it doesn't help the country's private sector to contribute, make a contribution which it has to contribute. So the VAT will be reduced from 15% to 8%, and the national nation building tax will be taken out. Similarly, economic services charge will also be taken out. Then the withholding taxes will also be abolished. Now again, we'll have to try to remind you, withholding tax is not a tax. It's actually a method of tax collection. If I have to pay income tax, if the tax is deducted from my income at source, it's a tax collection system, and that is what is happening today. Whenever a private sector or corporation sector employee receives an income above the free income threshold level, employer will deduct it from his monthly pay and he will transmit it to the Inland Revenue Department. So it's not a tax, even though it's popularly called paying tax, it's not a tax. So that will be completely abolished, and the tax net will be expanded so that everyone, even the students who are present here, may have to open up tax files in the future. That can be done because previously it took a large number of tax officers to manage the taxation system in the country. But the Inland Department today has a new system called Revenue Administration Management Information System, popularly known as RAMIS, which will automate the entire tax assessment system in the country. By using RAMIS technology, Inland Department would be able to manage a larger number of tax files without overstretching its capacity. So as a result, in one way we would abolish the payee tax and other withholding taxes, but on the other way, it's very easy for the Inland Department to catch all of us. For example, under RAMIS, each one of us has been given a taxpayer's identification number, which we call TIN. TIN is nothing but our national identification number without this alpha B at the end. So whenever we receive any income in the future, employers will be obliged to report to Inland Revenue Department under NIC number. So the RAMIS will immediately connect it, and if we don't fill our tax returns accurately, we will get more. So there is a possibility that each one of us will have to open a tax file and pay taxes accurately in the future. Now that's the objective. Then the small and medium enterprises, which are known as SMEs, are to be exempted from taxes for 5 years, and the past tax areas would be written off. But this again is not a very viable proposition, because about 90% of the SMEs in Sri Lanka today don't pay tax. So as a result, the benefit out of this particular proposition will be only for a limited number of SMEs. So therefore, it doesn't provide an industry-wide tax relief to the taxpayer. Then tax policy affecting business special now. Again, remember, when you abolish the pay tax and also when you abolish the withholding tax and also reduce the tax rate from 28% to 18% in the case of businesses and from 24% to 15% in the case of individual taxpayers, there is a reduction in revenue. Now that has to be compensated. It will be compensated by introducing a new special single goods and services tax which will have an exit time once the taxation level comes to the normal required level. This tax would be abolished. But in Sri Lanka's case, what we find is that when you introduce something for a temporary period, it becomes a permanent thing. So there we are running the problem of having a dual taxation system. We have value added tax on one side, then we have a special single goods and service tax on the other side, which again is an indirect tax and it will again complicate the Sri Lanka's taxation system. Then domestic industry will be protected by increasing tariff. Again, it's a kind of providing support to the domestic industries by increasing taxation level so that they would be able to compete according to the philosophy underlying Gotanomic effectively with the imported goods. Taxes on religious institutions will be abolished. There is no such tax today. And we all know that even in the central bank, when we are short of coins, what we normally do is we send a truck down the Wall Road. At Alutara Bodhi, we collect the coins from there. Then we go to Devinavara Devale, we collect coins there. Then we go to Katragma Devale, we collect coins there. And those coins would be exchanged by those religious institutions for hard currency notes. But they don't pay any tax there because nobody can estimate the income that they receive by way of these the donations which people are making to these religious places. So this again tax on religious institutions it's a non-event. The zero VAT on tourism industry firm if they use local inputs up to 60%, an important tax because central bank at such a level, the value added in the tourism sector is less than 20%. 80% will have to import from other countries to maintain tourists. Now the government is encouraging the business firms in the tourism sector to increase this value added from below 20% today to 60%, but again they have used the wrong tax. The wrong tax in the sense, value added tax is actually passed on to the tourists. It's not being borne by the tourism industry firm. So as a result, the relief is not to the firm that is undertaking tourism business, but to the tourists who is coming to Sri Lanka. So instead, what should have been done is to give them income tax relief if they have increased the value addition in tourism sector from below 20% to 60% from the local economy. Then taxes on telephone charges and internet will be raised by 50%. Another, in my opinion, is not a very diligent taxation because every government has to choose the growing sectors for taxation. Even Sinhala kings used in the ancient time to tax the salt because salt has been used by everybody practically. Without exception, everyone has to use salt. So salt was a very important tax base for Sinhala king. So similarly, the growing economy in Sri Lanka, if you look at, and when these losses are mounting, their balance sheet becomes negative because since you are all finance students, you know, when the balance sheet becomes negative, you are no longer an institution which can continue in business. In the case of a private firm, you have to be liquidated compulsorily. But since the CPC is owned by the government, it goes through the process by getting a guarantee from the treasury. So as a result, when the guarantee is invoked by the CPC, the Ministry of Finance issues a debenture to CPC, which the CPC would encash with the lending bank, and finally, the burden is passed on to all of us as taxpayers. But if you have the fuel formula, it's only the users of fuel who will have to pay. So this is again something that has to be revisited by the new government. The withholding tax on deposits maintained on pensioners, senior citizens and children accounts will be abolished. Now people like me today, we are enjoying this particular facility because up to 1.5 million of interest income a pensioner for senior citizen earn is free from taxation today. In addition to that, there's a 5% final tax which I pay instead of paying 24%. Now in future, once this tax is abolished, I'll have to include that income in my tax return and I will pay at 15%. So it's a choice between 5% and 15%. So new bank named National Development Bank investor. Now again Sri Lanka is notorious for setting up new institutions. In 2005, we were actually in 1978 we established the National Development Bank proper in order to provide term lending to business sector. In the initial years, they were able to do that because they got a credit line from ADB and the World Bank, IDA, International Development Association. What they did was they actually used the funding out of the credit line in order to lend to the business sector. Over the years, Sri Lanka didn't get this credit line. As a result, there was a shortage of funding for them. So ADB could not function continuously. As a result, they had to convert themselves to a commercial bank so that they are now depending on depositors' money. In 2005, we were not happy about that situation, so we established two such development banks. One was called the National Enterprise Bank, the other one was called the Lanka Putra Bank. Within 2 years, both banks became bankrupt because there was heavy political influence for lending. The borrowers had defaulted, capital became negative, the central bank wanted the government to close them down. So what they did was they amalgamated. In fact, the National Enterprise Bank was absorbed by the Lanka Putra Bank. Now Lanka Putra Bank is performing very badly today because its capital is negative. The government has to provide the required minimum capital of 5 billion. So on top of that, another National Development Bank is going to be set up. The cost is simply you have to provide the capital. The minimum capital requirement for a development bank today in terms of central bank liquidity is about 5 billion. So government taxpayers will have to set apart 5 billion. Now imagine 5 billion is now, if you look at University of Kelaniya, your annual budget is 2.5 billion. So that means the money that we can spend on 2 universities will have to be allocated to new National Development Bank. Then you have to hire people, you have to establishment expenditure. So you are creating an additional bureaucratic rule. So instead of using this National Development Bank, my suggestion is that there was an information asymmetry. The borrower knew everything about himself. The bank knew only what the borrower has disclosed to the bank. So as a result, borrowers were moving from one bank to another, defaulting in the process, creating a huge loan default register there. The objective was to remove this anomaly in information so that you would be providing the information about borrowers to bankers so that they can make informed decisions. But actually what happened was they used it as a practice. If there's a person who has been in the default list in the grid, the banks did not lend to those people and as a result they were denied any banking facility. So what should be done is instead of tampering with the grid law, what should be done is if the government to encourage banks to lend to people who are in the default list, maybe by providing them with a special guarantee. So rather than the tampering with the grid law, which again will have a long-term effects for Sri Lanka's economy. Then important thing is support will be given to re-establish all bankrupt businesses. There again government is taking a huge risk because some of the bankrupt businesses are no longer viable. And as a result, the support given by the banking sector or by the general treasury will again establish a large number of unviable business in the country. There again we have enormous prospect for corruption because people who have established the bankrupt business might seek favors from the government politicians. So this has to be avoided at all costs. So what I would suggest is that only viable backup business should be re-established. In agriculture, the farmers' pension scheme will be reintroduced. Again, there is a farmers' pension scheme, but unfortunately, none of the pension schemes. We have again a multitude of pension schemes in Sri Lanka, like the Hindu deity system. We have the fishermen's pension scheme, we have farmers' pension scheme, we have self-employed pension scheme. We have a pension scheme for practically everyone. But all these pension schemes are unviable pension schemes because they don't have enough money. So at the end of the day, when the pensions are to be paid, the gap has to be filled by the taxpayer, and finally it will become a burden on the taxpayer. But there is a case for supporting providing a country-wide social security system. It's not to be done through isolated and selective pension scheme. It should be done through a universal social security system, probably by amalgamating employees trust fund, employees provident fund, and also getting some of the insurance companies into the picture so that they will be providing a fee-based pension scheme to Sri Lanka. So agriculture insurance will be reformed to enable the system to pay a higher compensation. Again a burden on the taxpayer because presently the funds available with the agricultural insurance board by way of the premium that they charge is insufficient for them to meet the liability. Always they have to depend on the treasury, and the treasury, when you try to pay a higher compensation, the treasury will have to allocate these additional monies to these people. The mechanism will be introduced to take over unused and underused land and develop them. That will be again an important policy decision because what could happen is that these land which remain barren and unutilized would be used by the government for productive purposes. State and private banks will be directed to introduce a simple loan scheme to rescue farmers from the clutches of informal money lenders. Now this is a big problem because even though we are angry with money lenders, one thing we have to remember is without those money lenders, farmers would have died long time ago. I ran the first ever microfinance system in the central bank, which is called the Suru project. And what we did was, instead of eliminating the village money lenders, we actually emulated the village money. We followed it. Because the village money lenders we found, they were very quick in providing loans. When the farmer wants the loan today in order to buy his seed, we have to give the loan to him today, not tomorrow. When he wants fertilizer today, we have to give him the loan today, not tomorrow. The village money lender, they just even in the middle of the night, if you go and knock at his door, he will provide his fund. So it was a very easy way of borrowing, even though the interest rates were high. Now I have been tracking the informal money lending market in Sri Lanka. I have tracked about no meaning at all. It's not a check at all. But there is a market for post-dated checks. There are people who buy this post-dated check early at a discount of 6%. So if the check is for 100 rupees, this man can sell it for 94 rupees early and get money. What happened to him after the Easter attack, most of the restaurants which had been buying fish from him because they have customers even in the middle of the night eating fish and drinking, that number had drastically come. So these people not only bought lower quantity of fish, but also they defaulted the post-dated check that they had given the fish. So he had a huge cash flow problem. He had visited 3 banks, and all the 3 banks had in fact turned him away. One reason is he doesn't know how to fill a bank form. Another one is he doesn't have collateral with the bank in it. Third one is the bank takes a long time period in order to assess his loan application. When he was just thinking whether he should commit suicide or not, there was a young man who had come on a motorbike. He had told him that don't worry, you will provide any amount of money that you need, but the interest rate is 10% per month for 100 days, which comes to 120% per annum. But imagine this fish seller. His choice is either to commit suicide or borrow money from this informal sector. He has spoken to the money lender on the telephone, no phone, no signature, no collateral. Within 15 minutes, the young man on the motorbike had delivered $500,000 rupees. She had to get $500,000 rupees from the bank. No bank would have undertaken it. But why I am actually wondering is, he has to get this money at 120% per annum. His profit margin should be more than 120% per annum in order to serve. Last month when I met him, he had defaulted. He didn't have money to pay the first one. He had re-borrowed, just like our government of Sri Lanka. Re-borrowed, and his total liability to this informal money lender has been 1.2. So this is the type of problem we are having. So what should be done is, we have to encourage banks to come up with simple loan system, so that even if they charge 30% per annum compared to the 10 to 15% interest rate that the banks have today, it is still beneficial for this SME. So most of the SMEs that you find in the Kelaniya area, which are open today and closed tomorrow, the main reason has been that there has been a problem with fund. So that's the problem. So that has to be done not by writing off the loan, but by getting banks to come up with a different type of a loan facility. So free fertilizer will be given to farmers again. Actually, problem that might be for the government for the budget in the long run, and as a result, the taxpayers will have to bear the total, because when Maida Chintan was introduced in 2005, the total estimated liability for subsidized fertilizer was 4 billion. But when the international fuel prices went up to say $140 per barrel, the total liability went up to 26 billion. And today, that become extremely difficult for any government to maintain this subsidized fertilizer system. So, all major commercial crops will be developed, that is tea, rubber and coconut will be developed. So, those are the measures for agriculture. Industry action will be taken to protect domestic industries, which again we find in this type of protection syndrome that we had in the past. Foreign participants will be restricted to business in which domestic entrepreneurs can undertake easily. If we can produce something, why should you get foreigners? All support will be given to apparel industry. Again, another important problem, because apparel industry, we have to remember before 1970, we had not exported a single item of apparel. It was the industry that was started along with the pre-economic system. It has actually helped Sri Lanka to diversify its exports. Earlier, 90% of our export earnings came from tea, rubber, coconut. Now that percentage has come down to 10%. And the apparel has taken over. And of the total export earnings, we get about, say, industrial export, we get about 50% out of apparel. But that particular apparel industry is facing a huge threat today. The threat is, we got the apparel firms to Sri Lanka, which came to Sri Lanka in search of cheap. Sri Lanka does not have this cheap labor anymore. Countries like Myanmar, Vietnam and Bangladesh and also Cambodia, they have cheaper labor than Sri Lanka. So industry was shifted. Even our apparel manufacturers were shifting their factories from Sri Lanka to Bangladesh and also to India. That is one problem. The other problem is apparel industry is now going back home. The Western, we re-established Western countries, because what we had was a system called offshoring, where the manufacturing plant was established in countries where the labor was cheap. But now, the cheap labor is no more a constraint for a manufacturer, because we have the technology. We have the artificial intelligence, machine learning, we have robotics, you will be able to automate all the problems. So as a result, apparel industry is now shifting back to the main markets, Europe and North America, with which we call onshoring or reshoring. And at the same time, they can't wait until 30 days because it's an apparel item produced in Sri Lanka. To reach the market in Europe or USA, it takes 30 days. They want the apparel item in 3 days. So they are setting it up in countries close to those markets which is called nearshoring. So both nearshoring and reshoring are going to take over the apparel industry today, and as a result, by year 2025, Sri Lanka will lose its unless we produce a part of the apparel, part of a garment, and join the market which is being developed in the developed countries, which we call global production sharing network. So that is where we have to start. So the support is should be given for apparel manufacturers to produce apparel, not the whole shirt, one part of the shirt, and provide it in the supply chain to the major manufacturers in Europe and also in North America. Construction industry will promote importantly because we are depending on foreign work, but of course, remember what matters to us is the required technology for construction sector will have to well, initial period by working with the foreign firms, but the foreign firm must be willing to start with their technological know-how in Sri Lankan construction field. The technology is the most important thing, and what is being proposed in Botanomics is we are producing a global innovation hub using Internet of Things, which is based on this 5G internet speed, then artificial intelligence, robotics, biotechnology, augmented reality. Rather than what we have is the reality, it's actually coming close to the real world. Then 3D manufacturing is printing, then the cloud computing and nanotechnology. Those are the items which have been isolated. It is a good thing, which again will help Sri Lanka to face the challenges which it faces today, to prepare the country to face the challenges coming from the fourth industrial revolution, which is called Industry 4.0. Now, this is a very important thing, and to do that, universities like Kelaniya, all other state universities and private institutions, universities, they also have to team up with the government to produce the required number of a critical pool of scientists to service these sectors. So Sri Lanka will go for digital government to provide a better service to citizens, which is again a must, which has to be done immediately. Everybody who goes to the immigration department will know that their passport service has been fully automated. The motor traffic department, the system has been fully automated. So rest of the government also should follow. And there is one good example given by Domte Base Hospital, which had actually converted the paper-based hospital to an e-based hospital. The only hospital in Sri Lanka which is completely e-based. From entry point to the discharge point of a patient, everything is done through intranet and by using the digital techniques. So similarly, all the hospitals in Sri Lanka will have to follow it. So it's a good suggestion, and we'll have to encourage President Gotabaya to go for it immediately. Our physical space, important thing is that you may remember when this Millennium Challenge Operation Compact grant was suggested by the previous government. Everybody was angry, saying that there was an economic corridor to be established from Kelaniya to Sri, giving the land on either side of the area to America. It was not there in the but economic corridors are natural things. They naturally happen. If you travel from say Talugama to Kalapu on the Kelly road, you will find on either side of the road lots of businesses are there, which is an economic corridor. It happens always naturally because all the major 8 roads feeding in the city of Kalapu, low level road, high level road, then Tramula road, and then Yadala road, Andy road, Gambu road, finally Gold road. If you look at all these roads, there has been an economic corridor established. beautiful thing is autonomics proposes 9 such economic corridors. Not one, but 9 such economic corridors, which is a must. We'll have to encourage President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to go for this 9 economic corridors because it's a must. Because it will actually take the growth away from the western province to the rest of the country. So all other things are all use of physical space, and this is what actually we must do in order to take a turnaround in economy. We can't take President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to come up with some of the issues because his job was with the election. But after winning the election, he has now faced the game. So I hope that the newly established economic policy and public policy and planning commission under President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will have to reassess autonomy, see which one will have to be abandoned and which one have to be improved in consultation with the policy authorities like the central bank, and come up with a very comprehensive plan in order to make the turn around Sri Lanka situation. So that is the key that we have, and in order to do that, remember the most important requirement is to improve the capacity of the public sector through training and improvement in their talent base. For universities like you to produce the required critical pool of managers, scientists, technocrats, and engineers, so that that particular critical pool can take Sri Lanka forward and make a turnaround in Sri Lanka. The idea is that we have to do that, and we will be discussing this while we have the panel discussion. We are moving to the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
To the questions, I'll first introduce you to the panelists. Unfortunately, one of the panelists is unable to attend the panel discussion today, Dr. Dunu Singh. So I'll start off with Jayani. Jayani Ratnayake is an economist at the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. She is the lead in trade intelligence at the Ceylon Chamber. She also serves as a member of the National Trade Evaluation Facilitation Committee of Sri Lanka. She counts many years of experience in economic research and advocacy, work ranging from in-depth research reports, policy submissions, and briefs, as well articles aimed at wider public audience. She has a Master of Science with Honours in Business and Financial Economics from University of Greenwich, UK, and a BA in Economics from the University of Colombo, and has completed modules on WTO law, on border measures, trade facilitation, and GATT at the World Trade Institute, Switzerland. Next, I would introduce Chanakya Disanayake. Chanakya is the Senior Director, Country Head, Sri Lanka, and Global Head of Investment Research and Equity Knowledge Partners. Chanakya has been with Equity Knowledge Partners, formerly known as Moody's Analytics Knowledge Services. Previously, they were known as COPA Member and AMBA Research, since the Colombo Delivery Center's inception in 2003. He is currently responsible for all aspects of research delivery and client relationship management for engagement in engagement services, a service out of Colombo, and leads the global investment research practice. He was responsible for the Beijing Delivery Center's operation in 2015 to 16, focused on providing Mandarin language investment research support to global capital market clients. He led strategic initiatives for COPA AMBA prior to its acquisition by Moody's, working very closely with the senior leadership team in seeking, evaluating, and overseeing the implementation of growth initiatives. Prior to that, Chanakya was Global Head of the Projects and Transitions team, which manages new engagement in equity and fixed income analysis. He also supervised sell-side equity sector coverage teams, credit research teams, and buy-side hedge fund teams for COPA. As Global Head of Training and Knowledge Management, From 2007 to 10, he was responsible for new analyst training and the continuing education program. So the list goes on. Quite an experienced professional who has been with MAPA and now with Equity Knowledge Partners, who is representing the panel today, giving a different perspective. He also has actually represented Sri Lanka in road shows organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Board of Investment in the UK, Sweden, Singapore, and he's a CFL Charter Fellow, as was mentioned earlier, also and a CIMA UK Fellow and an ACCA UK Fellow. Quite a eminent panel with us today. So as you all heard from Dr. Devardhana, Sri Lanka's GDP growth is not going to be rosy. Time to come. The World Bank recently decelerated the growth to down to 2.7% to reach by the end of this year, as against the previously forecasted figure of 3.5. Although the CD Central Bank painted a rosy picture, the forecast of 3.5% in line with the ADB forecast as well. So Sri Lanka is only ahead of Afghanistan and Pakistan in South Asia in terms of GDP growth. The new kid on the block in South Asia, the Bangladesh, is growing at a rapid pace at 8%, and India is behind them at 7.2%. So with the new president in power, with his autonomics, he has a gigantic task and must focus on the macroeconomic fundamentals to resurrect the economy. It's not going to be an easy task, which has been aiming for quite some time. So, I would now turn to Chan first, right? So, with your experience in financial markets, sorry, before that, all of you will have to talk for 10, when you have time, about 10 minutes, to give your perspective initially, to talk about the topic.
Thanks, Kelaniya, and Dr. Vijayawardena for the lovely presentation. So, I'm going to focus a bit about capital markets in Sri Lanka, and to give the capital market perspective, I want to establish some interesting data points that create quite a puzzling scenario for all capital market professionals. Your head of the faculty is a CFA charter holder. I'm sure he's been also talking about these points. And some of you we interact in the CFA Research Challenge. So capital markets are a very important aspect of Sri Lanka's growth story. But what has been the long run performance? When you look at Sri Lanka's capital market or the stock market, we need to go back to 1993. That's when the market actually opened for foreign institutional investors as a part of the USA project to automate the stock exchange. They introduced a CFA program as a human capital development measure. So basically, Sri Lanka's equity market opened up in 1993. So when you look at the average return, the total return from 1993 to now, it's a very interesting perspective. The average return has been roughly about 12.4%. Right? And this is even after considering three very large bull markets Sri Lankan equity market has been through. The first bull market was the 1993 bull market, where the market over a period of like 1 year went up by about 160%. Second big bull market was when Sri Lankan government and the LTT entered into a peace agreement, and over a period of 3 years, from about end 2001 to 2004, the market went up by 340%. And obviously, after the war ended in 2009, there was a very steep bull market between 2010 and 2012. During those 2.5 years, the market went up by about 377%. Now, there are a couple of perspectives. Even with this very large bull market, the long periods of market stagnation or the bear market, as you say, has reduced this market return to 12.5%. Now, what's the problem with that? If you invested in a 1-year bill during this period, your average return has been slightly higher at 12.5%. Now, that's a big problem for all of the people studying finance because there has not been big premium. And more importantly, we consider us as an emerging market or a frontier market. Sri Lanka's market return during this period compared to emerging market and frontier market have also been quite much of an underperformance. Right? Now, while this is the reason or this is the past, there are a couple of things to look at. Most of this period that we looked at, Sri Lanka actually had a full-scale war going on. And there was a unique security discount that is placed also. So you would see that even though the market opened up in 1993, up to about 2009, the market returns were quite justifiably affected by the unique security discount. So post 2009, we have seen more foreign institutional participation in the market and the market moving more in line with perhaps the emerging market fund flows and how the global emerging market and the frontier markets have been performing. So that's basically one perspective to get. Second thing is that if you look at the long-run equity returns, we need to also understand that Sri Lanka also has, due to many reasons, Dr. Vijayawardena would be the best person to explain, we have had very high real interest rates. Now, you saw a few months back when most of the very well-managed listed commercial banks had to go to the market to raise tier 2 debt capital, they were offering almost 13 to 14% per annum return for a 5-year period. Oh, this is like a massive fixed income interest rate. So when you have real interest rates of this level, it's very difficult for equity market returns to also outperform. Now the question, as aspiring financial professionals for you and future capital market professionals, is that though during the past almost 30 years, real interest rates have been this high, given that we don't have a unique security discount going forward and we might actually start behaving like a middle income country, do you expect the real interest rates to remain at this level going forward? Because if you don't expect that, then some of our own domestic institutional investors, be it our life insurance funds, be it employee provident fund, may need to think about whether it is a good idea to keep all their money on the fixed income market. Because by looking at the past, yes, they did the right thing. The equity market did not outperform the fixed income return. So you can't blame EPF or life insurance funds for having a very high fixed income allocation. At the end of the day, as EPF beneficiaries, they have given us a return of between 10.5 to 11.5 on most years, which is a great return. But the question is, can we give this return going forward if the real interest rates come down and if the inflation also remains at the lower level that we have seen after the war ended? The second question is that with Sri Lanka now behaving more like a frontier or emerging market, we can't look at the Sri Lankan stock market or even sometimes even the interest rate environment completely in isolation from global fund flows. As you know, emerging market returns in the past couple of years have been depressed because of one major reason. US has been seeing the largest sustained bull run in its capital market history. Basically, it is almost a 9-year of continuous economic expansion and a 9-year bull market. So what we see, or previous reporting company Moody's used to present, is that we see US more as a late cycle expansion, or basically at the end of a massive economic expansionary period. So what will happen at the end of the late cycle expansion is that eventually the economy will slow down, eventually the rate cuts will come down, and the attractiveness of US assets would recede, resulting in fund flows coming back to the emerging markets. The question is, when that happens, perhaps in the coming months or in the coming year, would some of the unique economic factors that Dr. Vijayawardena spoke about that resulted in the past 5-year bear market in the equity markets, would our market reprice? The issue is that, as you know, our growth rates after about 2014-15 have gone from perhaps the high end of the regional spectrum to the lowest end of the regional spectrum. So if some of these catalysts, whether it's political or economic, result in our growth trajectory going back to about 5 to 6% levels, you would see that some of the factors that reduce the market valuations to these levels would be removed. The last thing that I want to highlight is that you can't talk about the capital market without talking about the debt market. At the end of the day, in any country, the corporate debt market is many times larger than the equity market. Now, if you look at the debt market, we see major problems. Right? Let me just highlight two things. Despite a few years when central bank issued the 30-year paper, we don't have a market benchmark for long-term debt because the government or the risk-free issuer doesn't issue regular bonds beyond the 10-year tenor for various reasons. But this creates major issues. A, this creates asset liability mismatch issues for long-term investors like life insurance funds. It also removes a very important funding source for long-term infrastructure projects. Just look at our own expressway network. Over the next 5 years, we are going to have an expressway network, toll road network covering the entire country. So some of the countries that built toll roads in the 1980s were able to issue long-term securitized debt, which is securitized future toll receivables, which is a very predictable cash flow as the security to issue a long-term debt to raise some of the capital requirement for these expressway projects or to recover some of the spending and by retiring some of the debt through this long-term lower cost debt. And it is very important because these kind of like 20-year, 30-year paper will be very valuable for long-term investors like life insurance funds or the ETF. So that's basically the one point. Second thing is that look at our own residential mortgage market. Right? We have a major problem. India has a far less per capita income, but you see the residential mortgage penetration at a much higher level. Right? We have a major issue in people not being able to afford their own residential investments because the residential mortgage loans are expensive, and one of the reasons is that our Sri Lankan banks are still in the first generation of the lending model. When they originate a 20-year mortgage loan, they have to carry it in the balance sheet till maturity. That creates massive issues because you're always running out of capital, you need to raise more capital, it depresses your return on assets and return on equity. But in most other developed countries, you have a securitized debt market where after some time of letting the loans settle down and after a period of regular servicing, you basically go to your collateralized the housing loans as a debt instrument and you sell it to long-term institutional investors again like the ETF and the life insurance funds who would like to have a 20-year maturity. And that gives another source of liquidity for these banks to increase further residential lending. And I just want to highlight that this was done once, and again I'm not sure the reason why. I remember in 2001, at the time of the more private sector oriented management, the People's Bank was working, they did at least 1 or 2 tranches of securitized residential mortgage, securitized paper, which was purchased by long-term insurance funds and things like that. So these are few things we may want to look at to support a turnaround story from a capital markets perspective. Thank you, guys.
Quite a comprehensive approach on the capital markets, Kelaniya. Now let me ask Jayani to give her perspective.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank the faculty for inviting me for this very wonderful forum. And I think it's very valuable for the students to really have a forum like this to really get the exposure what's really happening in the business world, etc. So building from the speech that's given by Dr. Vijayawardena, a very good diagnosis of the economic growth, and also picking from Chanakya as to why the economic growth is fundamental for the growth in capital markets as well. I thought I'll touch upon another aspect that's very important in this growth model, which is trade. So during this brief 10 minutes I've been given, I'll bring some perspectives on how trade can act as an accelerator in economic growth. So I think Sri Lankan economy is at a very important juncture right now. We've had an election, we've got a new president elected, and we are also in detail discuss what sort of policy has been laid out by the president as well. And so Sri Lanka is $89 billion economy right now, and this year we graduated to upper middle income level as well. So that also brings to us many economic challenges that the country will have to face in the coming years. And at the same time, when we focus on what's really happening in the international arena, what we see is that there are trade disputes between leading countries like China and US, the trade war, and then we also on a day-to-day basis always get updates on Brexit and related issues. And also we hear stories about the investment flows really slowing down a bit. So that's on the external front. And then when you also focus on other things that are really happening, we also hear about new trends that are coming up, especially with the industrial revolution, what we very commonly know as IR 4.0. And that is also coming up with new economic and social opportunities for countries to embrace as well. So within this context, let's see how trade can really be an accelerator for Sri Lanka. So when I look at trade, what I really understand is Sri Lanka has been a trading nation since ancient times. So it's actually something that's embedded in our DNA. It's it was possible because of a very unique advantage that we had, that was the geographic location of this country. So we are located in a very next to an international shipping route. So many shipping lines call on Sri Lankan ports, and also it really presents us with a tremendous opportunity to grow trade related to logistics and trade. And when you also look at how the global trade flow is growing, what we also see is that now about 2/3 of the global trade happens through global production networks. And what's really interesting about these global production networks is that now Asia is really becoming the engine of global growth in global trade. So you see increasingly production and consumption happening in Asia. And Asia is also home to a growing middle class. And Sri Lanka happens to be in the doorstep of such a big country, India, which is home to 1.3 billion people. So when you look at all these things and look at what sort of opportunities this presents for us, I think there are many areas that Sri Lanka can really pick on and can drive on if it only really has a very proactive approach to achievements. So let's look at 3 such opportunities that we can embrace immediately actually. So Sri Lanka currently has 4 free trade agreements. 3 trade agreements are bilateral in nature. We have with India, with Pakistan, and the recently signed Singapore agreement. And then we also have regional agreement with the members of the South Asian region. And Sri Lanka is also in the process of negotiating 3 comprehensive trade agreements with 3 vibrant economies in Asia, which is India, China, and Thailand. So if Sri Lanka can really negotiate these agreements and finalize it, and to Sri Lanka's strategic advantage, Sri Lanka will have access to a market of 2.9 billion people, which accounts for 39% of the world population. So that is only through FTAs, bilateral FTAs. And apart from that, we also have other trading arrangements with our two biggest trading partners, which is the USA and EU through the GSP schemes. So Sri Lanka should proactively engage in a strategy to sort of expand our trading engagements with strategic partners. But what's really important in this is that we have to very carefully design these trade agreements according to our strategic requirements and also based on very wide stakeholder consultations. So then we can really use it to the benefit of the economy. So the second point that I would like to touch upon is one of the recent agreements of the World Trade Organization, very popularly known as TFA, or the Trade Facilitation Agreement. This is a very interesting agreement to discuss, to bring to today's discussion, because the Trade Facilitation Agreement was the first agreement that was negotiated by the World Trade Organization since its inception in 1994. So Trade Facilitation Agreement came into existence because of many of the issues the multilateral system had. For example, we all know that the WTO, the multilateral system, is a very consensus-driven system. So if you are to really make a decision on something, for example, if we assume this is the WTO and the member countries, we all have to have consensus on that decision. So the decision-making process is very slow. So it's not really moving at the pace at which the countries want it to move. So as a result of this, many countries, member countries of WTO, started short-circuiting the multilateral regime and started entering into small trade pacts through having FTAs, etc., because they can then design agreements that really cater to the requirements of their economies. And as they entered into FTAs, also what countries realized was sometimes that you don't really get the intended outcome through FTAs because there are many other issues related to trade. For example, there is a tariff liberalization, or you bring down the import duty through the FTA, but you don't get the intended outcome or the benefit because there are many other barriers that are present out there. So WTO members then got into a discussion to see how they can address some of those issues through an agreement. So the Trade Facilitation Agreement was then designed to really cater to border-related issues. For example, the issues businesses face or traders face when they trade at the border. This applies to goods that are exported, imported, as well as goods in transit. This is very important because, like I mentioned before, now 2/3 of global trade takes place through the global production network. So the distinction between export products and import products is quite blurred. What you consider as an import is actually becoming a part of your export product in a GPA. So Sri Lanka, as a member of the WTO, ratified this agreement in 2014, and then it came into exist in 2017. This has 36 measures all WTO members have to comply with, which will improve their competitiveness. A very important feature of this agreement is that all members were given the freedom to really decide the pace at which they would want to implement the reforms. For example, these 36 measures, each country could choose what they need to prioritize in the implementation process. So they can put it in a list as category A, and then what are the measures they need technical assistance from maybe donors or from other countries. So then they put it in category B for phase implementation. And then what are the measures they need, both technical and financial very safe. So Sri Lanka has been moving ahead with this agreement at a good pace, I can say, and they have also achieved some really good milestones in terms of implementation. This is very important for Sri Lanka because large number of our businesses happen to be micro and small medium enterprises. And cost factor is a very important factor for them when they engage in trade. Also access to information. So there are measures, for example, a trade information portal has been established in Sri Lanka under the Trade Facilitation Agreement. So anyone can now access the trade information portal, which is online, to access information with respect to the rule on trade, about to understand what are the procedures involved, what are the forms they have to fill, etc. So I think TFA implementation will be a game changer for Sri Lanka because to a large extent it can also bring benefits which cannot be achieved by a mere tariff reduction. And in implementation, Sri Lanka is also trying to go beyond what is required by the WTO, because the WTO agreement is designed to cater for all. But if we go beyond the WTO requirement, for example, the information portal requirement was not a digital one, to have an online one. But Sri Lanka has gone a step beyond and implemented a digital one, also accessible in all 3 languages. So wherever possible, Sri Lanka has to go beyond the requirement of the WTO and go for TFA plus implementation. So that will help us to enhance the trade competitiveness. And the third point I would like to bring to our notice is Sri Lanka has to also look at other important reforms, especially to resolve the domestic barriers we have. We often point our finger to other countries or things beyond the border. But when you really look at what's really hindering trade in Sri Lanka, we understand there are lots of domestic barriers that we need to resolve. So Dr. Vijayawardena in his speech very nicely mentioned about these gods. So that's exactly one of the biggest issues we have in trade. We have a tariff structure which is not really helping trade, the competitiveness. So one of the first things that we have to do is we have to really rationalize the current tariff structure. We have import duties and a plethora of other levies, taxes that are imposed, which really brings our effective tariff rate to a very high level. So when you are working on a GPM sort of a setup, that's not really helping. And it's also imposed in a very ad hoc manner. So as a result, when the Sri Lankan producers sometimes want to bring down something to be used as an intermediate good, that could be taxed at a very high rate. But if they're importing the same good to be sold in the market, there's zero duty on that. So that needs to be carefully looked at, and there needs to be speedy resolution to that matter as well. And the final matter that I would like to point out is there needs to be a very serious emphasis by the government to see how the quality infrastructure can be improved. Because now, Sri Lanka, we know, we don't have the scale like China, India. So when we compete in the global trade, we will have to really look at other aspects that can really improve our competitiveness, and quality is one of those. So there needs to be great emphasis as to how we can improve the quality of the products that we export and the quality of products we import as well, looking from a more consumer perspective. And in these matters, trade can really act as a growth accelerator for Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Quite a comprehensive, a different perspective actually looking at trade. Now I'll come back to Dr. Vijayawardena. Dr. Vijayawardena, you mentioned the autonomies. They are very clear that they will never privatize any of the state-owned enterprises, and they will in fact go to the extent of bringing legislation to prevent them. Now, as you know, that 245 state-owned enterprises are there, and public sector employs about 1.3 million employees, and also as equivalent to like our 3-wheel drivers in the country, also 1.1 million. So just imagine, no disrespect to the government servants, I'm saying, So we have a very highly, I wouldn't say unproductive, we could make the public sector more productive in a meaningful manner so that the economy can benefit through those activities. So out of the total 245, I think they have identified 55 SOEs who are strategically important for the country. I mean, if you look at Petroleum Corporation, CEB, then Sri Lankan Airlines, then you have CTB, Sri Lanka Transport Board, and one is okay, so those are the main ones. So tell me now, in circumstances when these SOEs are running at a huge losses and not really contributing positively to the economic growth, how are they going to implement that? Just would like to get your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Jaini. In fact, the manifesto of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has not given details. But we can presume that he had, when he took over the presidency, as well as when he appointed the limited number of cabinet ministers, he made the announcement that all ministers will have to appoint directors and senior officers in these corporations based on their qualifications. So one factor on which we can depend in order to restructure them is the bringing down of the good managers and good technocrats to these corporations and allowing them to run them profitably so that they will not become a part of the burden for the taxpayer. But there again, the problem for him is, as I have mentioned in my speech also, the availability of such managers locally, and other countries have tried to resolve it by getting people from outside. And we can see in one case, the Sri Lankan Airlines, it was run by the Emirates. We had a foreign CEO, and when in 2001, when the airport came under attack by LTT, the biggest casualty was the Sri Lankan Airlines because about 6 of the aircraft that they had bought were completely destroyed. So as a result, they were not able to operate their things. So what was done under the foreign CEO was that they went into a complete reform program. They cut down all the uneconomic routes. Instead of owning aircraft, they went for leasing so that the company doesn't have to bear responsibility if they are destroyed by LTT again. They came up with a massive early retirement scheme so that the people who are in excess in the Sri Lankan Airlines were given a chance to retire. So there was a massive reform program done under him. The result was within 2 years, the loss-making Sri Lankan Airline was turned around and it became a profit-making one, and it in fact contributed to the treasury also by paying taxes and also dividend. So likewise, if we get good people from outside, give them a time-bound goal plan, and tell them in advance that if they fail, that they will be fired and could be replaced with good suitable people, probably within the state ownership, some of these companies can be turned. So that's actually my reading of his speech before the ministers.
I know you don't have that much of visibility in the economics on details, but what about we also in the past have had a lot of successful public-private partnerships. If you look at the Port of Colombo, SAGT is one such great example. Don't you think you have such opportunities also? I mean, you don't need to go to the other extreme, but are there any room for such
public-private partnership is a good opportunity for Sri Lanka to introduce new technology as well as new management techniques to these enterprises. But the manifesto of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is silent on it. So probably I hope that the new Economic Planning and Policy Commission will take that into account and will go for such a proposal, because without that, it will be impossible for Sri Lanka to do it alone from domestic resources.
Thank you, Doctor. Chanakya, I'll put a different question to you. I mean, even in Dr. Vijayawardhana's speech also, he spoke about the importance of micro and small and medium enterprises. And they are the engines of growth. I mean, 75% of our GDP is from these two sectors. And also the SMEs actually provide 45% of the employment, contributing to 52% of the GDP. And MSMEs account for 1 million businesses and provide employment to 2.3 million. So it's a huge impact to the business. So, I mean, the biggest issue with this sector is, like Dr. Vijayawardhan also mentioned, the access to finance. Now, the instruments available is in the unorganized sector because of various reasons that he mentioned about. So, I mean, how can you formalize this unorganized sector, and so that they also can quickly have access to finance and come out of this cycle and then contribute to the economy so that they also can grow faster than what they expect. Yeah.
So I mean, in our opinion, I mean, as capital market professionals, we always believe that the market itself is a great decider. A free market promotes businesses that are viable. It also kills the businesses that are unviable, so that the capital allocation becomes very, very, very effective. We talk about how Japan was on the top of the economic charts in by the end of 80s, and then it had a long multi-decade loss period because they didn't allow some of the unviable businesses to grow. Businesses to die down because of the stagnation in the banking reforms, etc. If you look at Sri Lanka's SME sector, I actually beg to differ in a slightly different way. When you talk about SMEs, these are not only low value added, low tech, agriculture related industries. Now, if you go to a place like Arugambe, or if you go to a place like Alva, you see quite a bit of owner operated tourism businesses that are doing amazingly well. Really great ratings. They are offering a unique experience, what I call like a uniquely curated experience. Someone that is who's very well known to me, who is on a very high-paying IT industry job, left his job to start a small and medium enterprise offering curated mountain bike tours. Right, and he's doing really well with actual revenues coming in from the first year of operations, and I mean, doing something that is economically viable. So, if you look at our own IT startups, right, these are also small and medium enterprises. They are not short of capital at all. There are like so many good software developers that are leaving companies that are publicly listed, multi-billion revenue enterprises, to join these startups with only 2 people, right? If you go to a place like the Hatch, you see 20, 30 startups being incubated. None of them are short of capital. So I think it is about the fundamental, the fact about the business viability. I think we need to recognize one unique thing about Sri Lanka, which is both a blessing and a curse. We are a very unique welfare middle income country. If you look at our welfare measures, you can, I mean, everyone knows about the education and the healthcare elements. But if you look at the farmer support is not only fertilizer support that, as Dr. Vijayawardhan said, that some years it was over 30 billion. It is also the fact that we spend massive number of billions of US dollars on very large irrigation projects. Right? Who benefits from Moragaha project? Do you know how much it costed? It is at the today it is taxpayer funded, right? Whether it's debt or thing. At the end of the day, it all goes to a large agrarian society that only has 1/4 of the people employed, but we have a massive development spending. The issue is that most of this money is going to one of the lowest economical viable agriculture product, called the paddy cultivation. And we are pumping billions. If you look at the urea subsidy, the amount of free irrigation done, the capital expenditure for new irrigation projects, the amount is massive. Just think about it. If you instead convert it into a direct income support, right? Nowadays the welfare economics are talking about in the developed world how the American low income families should be given minimum guaranteed income so that the kids can go to college. Right? If you look at this massive subsidy spending that is happening, if you convert it into direct income support, perhaps those families will have a choice. Are we going to use this money to put it on a low yielding paddy field, or are we going to give a good education to our children so that they can be software engineers, or they can be trained chefs that are of short supply in the tourism industry? How come when you go to Shangri-La, you see Malaysian, you see Filipino staff? We have a massive labor shortage on one part of the growth elements of the economy. When companies like us, we can double in size in Sri Lanka if we have a larger supply, and there are plus 20 other companies like that. But the issue is that because of these distortions, it is creating an artificial labor supply on certain skills and creating a massive oversupply in certain elements. So I think we should learn to run a welfare economy and focus on the positives, the lack of social unrest. We haven't had riots in the country since 87, 88. We are one of the safest places after the 2009 end of the war, but we need to now allocate this welfare spending to improve on our education and skills so that our actual growth that we can get could be much higher. A farmer, second generation, going back to the paddy field versus becoming a software engineer. We can do it with the same amount of spending. That's the point that
I think this brings me to another question before I give an opportunity to the audience to ask questions. I mean, again, both of you mentioned about the population, Sri Lankan population is aging, and we have a huge dearth of talent and skilled labor in the industry, and you very well pointed out, Chanakya. I mean, the two industries specifically where we don't have adequate number of skilled labor is the construction industry and the hospitality industry. And recently, USA together with UNI partnership has done a lot of work with the industry captains to bring in more young people to the industry, and also there is a stigma basically, dignity of labor, especially a woman, girl working in the hotel industry, seen as something not really good for female. So there are lots of cultural problems also we have in the country. So I will put this question to Jayani. So what should be the shape of our labor force for the next 5 years? I mean, we need to really seriously look at it because with the aging economy, and also we are really not looking at how we are going to make use of these retiring people for gainful employment, because we don't have enough people also, and at the same time you see foreigners coming and working in the construction industry, whether we like it or not, whether we have this free trade agreement or not, these people are already working because the industry needs people to work, right? So what should we do to fix this problem?
So you had two aspects of this question. So one was problem of demographics of aging population. So as we all know, our population is aging, and so our labor system also needs to change to cater to the requirements of the aging population. And so on the other hand, while we are also facing with the challenges of aging population, we are also facing the challenges that comes with the industrial revolution as well, because there's more automation also happening, and so there will also a risk of certain displacement in certain sectors as well. But there are different ways as to how we can approach this issue. Now, for example, one of the biggest issues we are faced with right now, so in the midst of this scarcity of labor in certain industries like apparel, in construction to manufacturing, we also see a large number of talent leaving this country. So there is a brain drain happening. So we also need to then have different policies in place to really retain this talent in Sri Lanka. Now, for example, certain universities are offering new degrees in catering to some of the demand that's creating in the world, especially in the Western part. So there is like people are really approaching this talent, and sometimes you see entire batches leaving the country, and they are really we are not really getting the best out of the investments we are making in these people. And on the other hand, we can use like trade agreements as well to bridge this demand and supply gap. Also, we have in certain industries. Now, for example, if you take an industry like ICT BPO, Sri Lanka is actually really thriving in that sector, and it has also been recognized as a key sector in our national export strategy as well, and a lot of focus, emphasis given to that. But there will be areas where Sri Lanka does not have the required skill to take it to the next level. So in those instances, the government has to discuss with the industry, understand what are the specific requirements, and then design the agreements to really cater to those needs as well. And then there also need to be a revolutionary change in our education system. So I was very happy when I was discussing with the faculty today to see that they are really coming up with new courses, new degree programs for the finance students. So that's really catering to the requirements of the economy as well. So like that, the education system also has to really understand what sort of requirements are out there, and then also have a strategy to retain them. And another point I would like to bring in is that we also need to do a proper survey to understand what is the skill requirement in different sectors are, and then come up with a strategy to create workers or employees to meet the required demand in 4 or 5 years down the line, or even could be 10 years. So that sort of strategy is not in place in Sri Lanka right now. So that is also something very important that we need to very seriously look at. And then we also need to focus more on improving our vocational training as well, because we all love to go and work in companies or do more white collar sort of jobs, and there isn't really good reception in the society for vocational training based occupations in Sri Lanka. So there also needs to be more emphasis on those areas as well, so that after finishing the school, more people can join more vocational training institutions and really come up with specific skills that is required by the businesses as well.
Thank you, Jayani. Now I see some questions. Lots of questions have come up. So I'll pick the question that is posed to Dr. Vijayawardena. What does it say? You're talking about the special tax rate that will be introduced to some goods and service industry. Is there visibility on those industries? Right? You spoke about the special tax rate that will be introduced to some goods and service industries. Is there any visibility on those industries?
Well, it will be a universal tax applicable sector, because the loss in revenue as a result of the reduction in the tax rates on corporate sector and the abolition of withholding tax and pay tax system would create a deficit in the cash flow in the treasury. To replace the cash flow, you have to have a special tax. Probably the tax has to have an exit time predetermined. So far, no details. We have to wait for the details when the budget is presented by the Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Doctor. I think the second question, I think Chanak, you can pick that up. Is there any method to the red one? The morning. Are there any methods to develop our country to increase capital of the country without taking loans?
I think that is more straightforward one. I mean, the country is also like a business. At the end of the day, if you have certain amount of income that comes from your tax sources and your income from the institutes that you own and run the income, and then you have your expenditure of your government services and all the welfare measures that you provide. And more importantly, there is also the investment that you have to do on measures of like capital, the formation in the country, whether it's universities, whether it's hospitals, whether it's expressways, etc. So it is a choice we make as a country, as Dr. Vijayawardhan explained before. We have been having very high recurrent expenditure. We have run a welfare country by all means, going beyond the traditional welfare measures of education and healthcare to basically providing de facto family income support through a very large private sector that is for the size of our population and for the size of our economy. So we have been running a very elaborate welfare state. The question is that can our revenues support the welfare state? Second thing is that are there ways of making this welfare spending more economically return generating? Again, the question is, would you want to spend, let's say, $1 billion on a water reservoir that is only feeding a negative income or economic value creating industry like paddy farming? Or would you like to use that money as family income support so that the children in the families can get an education voucher to spend on tertiary education courses of their choice? Because one thing has been proven globally. If you provide income support for advanced education, no country loses, right? Because the return on education spending has never failed to deliver, right? So it's a choice about you having X amount of revenue. I mean, at the end of the day, economics are all about that, right? I mean, you have finite resources, it's about resource allocation. So you need to make a call, and how do you do that? How do you get a certain element of population? And we don't have a big problem now. We only have 1/4 of our population in that situation, which is a good problem to have. We don't have a problem like in 1980s where 60% of the population was in that situation. No, 24% of the population. So managing that, gradually moving that by showing, okay, we might not be able to give you this, but we are going to give you 600,000 rupee loan, 700,000 rupee loan, or million rupee loan for your child to basically pick a degree course of their own. So I think that's basically the way to move forward. That's the only way we can basically manage a particular budget deficit, maintain the welfare economy, and also look at the fact that we are a services economy. We are not an agrarian economy, whether we like it or not. We are a services economy. We are perhaps the South Asia's version of Singapore already, whether we like it or not. So we have to stop brakes on that part of the car. I mean, if you go to topjobs.lk, look at the amount of vacancies available for people with a technology background. It's the best time to live for people with a technology or a finance background. All of you, when you graduate, you will have 2 to 3 jobs. When I entered the capital markets in 2002, after finishing my chartered accounting, CIMA, ACC, etc., there was only 1 job in the entire capital market during that year, 2002. Right? And that was also changed to a part-time position because the capital markets were doing very bad. But now, everyone who's coming from the top 5 Sri Lankan universities at least have 3 or 4 seats by the time they reach. It's a completely different time. So it's about how we capitalize on these advantages.
So I think we should get out of this comfort zone and challenge the existing status quo. I mean, we are an island and we have this islanders mentality and we are here to think that only way. But I think we need to really challenge this conventional wisdom and see what can be done. There's another question I think anybody can answer. What will be the impact to the economy if we start doing the transactions through blockchain? Cashless. There is more cashless transaction, digital banking than having traditional cash transaction. Yeah. Sorry, I'm lagging. I had a blockchain also there, but I think what's the impact of the bank? So again, if the banks will get disrupted and how they get themselves to face this imminent reality.
My expertise and my familiarity is more on the general benefits of cashless economy. The biggest benefit that I see is the improved tax data. And that's why almost all economies, if you look at China, it has made more progress than any other country in moving to a cashless economy. One great thing about a cashless economy is that you can monitor the degree of economic activity. Your estimation of the economic activity becomes much better, and your tax deck naturally becomes much wider, because the element of the informal economy naturally reduces, because the economic activity is much better tracked. Dr. Vijayawardena, you can.
The main beneficiary will be the central bank. So the central bank has to print currency notes and coins. At a tremendous cost, and then distribute them among the people again at equally high cost. So when the whole system will go cashless, we don't need this 5,000, 2,000, 1,000 rupee currency note that we carry in our pocket. Instead, we carry a card and we can make the payments, and central bank will be relieved of running its currency department. It is the biggest thing. And important thing is, as Janak said, there's a audit trail, the payment trail. People can follow where the current money has come from, where it has gone, and it will be recorded, and income tax department can come and catch us. So it will facilitate the law enforcement, it will facilitate the revenue collection, it will actually enhance the development economic efficiency of the country if we go for that. And fortunately, Governor Kumaraswamy is going to retire pretty soon. He's going to introduce his own, it's called e-fiat. Fiat currencies are the ones that are produced by us. These are called electronic fiat currency, and I have suggested to him that you can name it either Lakshmi or Masura or Mahau.
Just want to add a point to that. So apart from the banking system, so that cashless, paperless system is also now very widely discussed in the trade regime as well. So the WTO trade facilitation agreement that I mentioned before also has requirements for countries to implement national single window, which is a paperless system, a cashless system for trade. So once all these things connect, and if we can also have that connectivity through a digital ID for Sri Lanka, it can really bring economic benefits that we have not seen before, and as well as improve the risk management system to a great extent as well.
Okay, I think I'll come back to, I have two interesting questions that I thought I should ask from Jan. Now, in Bodenomics again, he speaks about reducing imports and increasing exports, and looking at the different profile of the exports and all that. Now, if you reduce the imports, then we are actually losing our chances of tapping into the global value chains, because Sri Lanka is in a strategic location located in the busiest east-west route. And you see the biggest 40% of the world energy transportation is happening across Sri Lanka. So with Hambantota and Colombo port being at the epicenter of the Indian Ocean, and how can we make that dream a reality? Because you need to import and do the value addition and tap into the global supply chain, especially the Chinese will anyway do that with the processing zones and all in the area. So how can we, it doesn't go together.